Hello and welcome to Mad Maz Reviews. Today I'm going to be reviewing Spy, starring Melissa McCarthy. Now, quite honestly, I had no real intention of seeing this film. I was really tired of seeing Melissa McCarthy in her same roles, constantly just playing like the sad, sappy character that makes fun of herself, makes fun of everybody. It's getting a little old. The same way Will Ferrell, in a lot of cases, redoes his same role. You kind of grow tired of it. I thought Melissa McCarthy was a solid actress, and I really wanted to see her kind of do more of a breakout role, something a little different. I literally remember telling my wife that I didn't want to go see this movie because I didn't want to go see Tammy 2. But I could not have been more wrong. This film was hilarious from start to finish. It kept me laughing. It was amazing. And all the side characters, all the characters were extremely likable. Now, if you don't know anything about this film, Melissa McCarthy plays Susan Cooper. She works at a CIA compound known as The Basement, where she basically assists super spies in keeping their lives safe. And she helps them in their missions, gives them tactical feedbacks, tells them when there's people coming to get them, to kill them probably. And then also she does drone strikes, which is pretty badass. But her character is very, very meek, very mild. She doesn't have a lot of confidence, which is why she could have been a top spy. At least they give you the hint that she could have been a top spy. But she decided to just kind of stay in a safe position, play it safe. And she really kind of regrets that about herself. She basically explains that her mom gave her very low confidence in life. Always telling her to let somebody else win, take a seat back, stuff like that. And she really took all that stuff to heart, and she really doesn't put herself out there to get hurt or to succeed in this matter. Now, that all changes when the super spy that she's tasked with protecting, named Bradley Fine, is killed by a nuclear arms dealer. The nuclear arms dealer actually reveals that she knows the names of all the top agents at the CIA. So Susan Cooper is basically the only one left that's able to, follow the nuclear arms dealer and get intel on them without ruining her cover, because nothing's really known about her because she always stays in the basement. Jason Statham was hilarious in this film, and I quite literally did not expect that from his character at all. I've seen some movies where he has some sort of comedic elements in the film. He might crack a joke here or there, but nothing like this where he's funny from the beginning to the end of the movie. He's actually, in the comedy film, I would say he's probably the comedic relief of the film. His character is awesome because what it is, he plays a character that's almost making fun of every role he's ever been in. He plays a super spy, badass, who takes himself way too seriously and always thinks he's going to save the world when no one else can. But really what it is that he's going to come in at the worst possible time and ruin whatever plan that you're working towards, and then blame you for the foul-up in the first place. His character has some great scenes with Melissa McCarthy in this film where they're kind of having a banter back and forth. And quite honestly, I would probably go see a movie of just that, of just them two, maybe at a bar somewhere or at a restaurant, and then just talking back and forth, because they're some of the best scenes in the movie and they're some of the most hilarious things I've seen in a long time on film. Now, I would say, honestly, Jason Statham is probably the best character in this film, and that's tough to say because, again, out of all the characters in this film, he's probably the least comedic actor of all of them, but he was surprisingly funny to me. And it was actually part of the reason my wife wanted to go see the movie, is because she saw an interview with Melissa McCarthy with her just telling everyone, hey, this dude is hilarious, you need to go see this movie. Now, Melissa McCarthy was no slouch in this film either. I really didn't want to see the film because, quite honestly, I got tired of her playing the same role over and over and over again. It got boring to me after the third time of seeing her kind of play the Tammy role, where she's like a bumbling idiot who just talks a lot of shit to everybody and she's just kind of overall kind of dumb. But this was kind of a fresh role for her for a couple reasons. I mean, she still had some of that Tammy-esque feel to it, especially towards the beginning when she plays the kind of weak and feeble character. She's zero confidence throughout the film. But as the film goes on, towards the end, she really kind of takes into her own and becomes a real CIA badass. And I loved seeing that change from start to finish with her character. So I thought it was really cool. It kept the movie fresh, and it kept the pacing pretty good too, because in a film like this, if you have a character that's kind of sad and sappy the whole time, it can be really easy to get bored with that character or get annoyed with that character and then just kind of be taken out of the film that way. But having that change throughout the film, from her going from like this weak, lame character to a badass who's talking shit and doesn't take any shit from anybody, really helped the film pacing and kept you interested the whole time. And again, it led to some great moments with her and Statham where they had a lot of banter going back and forth, where she might not have had that before in the film because, again, her character really didn't stand up for herself at all. Now, another character I liked in this film was Jude Law. His character was named Bradley Fine. He plays Melissa McCarthy's sort of pseudo love interest in the film. She spends most of her time in his ear, directing him during his missions, keeping him safe, stuff like that. And she's fallen madly in love with him, and you kind of get the feeling she's always been in love with him since day one. But he's oblivious to these feelings. He thinks of them as just like, best friends. He really likes her. He actually might even say love her, but loves her more in that friend way where, he likes their dynamic together. He thinks they're a good fit, a good pair, but doesn't really think of them in a romantic way. Now, the reason I like his character is because this character in film could have easily been a really crappy character that everyone just hated because he was oblivious to the protagonist's feelings, right? But Jude Law does it in such a charming and funny way that you really can't fault him for not realizing her feelings sooner. He even goes as far as to, when she does, reveal that she loves him, to kind of give her a chance at the end of the movie, and it's in Melissa McCarthy's court as to whether or not she's going to take that chance or kind of move on, because she's a different person from the beginning of this film to the end of the film. But I really liked his character. I thought he was really funny in the scenes that he was in, and there weren't a lot of scenes that he was in, unfortunately. So the scenes that he was funny, and I think that was very important. I thought that was really good, very well done. And honestly, I would say he was probably the funniest part of the trailers. The scene where he walks in on the kind of nuclear arms dealer and then sneezes and shoots him in the head. I could not stop laughing at that 10-second part of that trailer. The rest of the trailer I could have left alone. I really didn't like it, but I would have seen a movie of that character playing a super spy because he just seemed really funny in that moment. Firstly, I would have also enjoyed a movie with Melissa McCarthy and him as that pairing that they were in the film, because they're a funny pair and they work really well together. Their on-screen chemistry was surprisingly good, and I really enjoyed his character in this film. Really, the only negative thing I have to say about this film, quite honestly, is the sort of end. There's too many villains, there's too many moving pieces towards the end, and I don't really fault that at the cast or the movie itself. I think that's just an issue with spy movies in general. There's always going to be backstabbers backstabbing other backstabbers in a spy movie. I think Man from U.N.C.L.E. suffered a lot from this as well, where the kind of overarching storyline might have eclipsed the funniness of the film, and it might have been too much all over the place, and people might have trouble keeping up with it. I really didn't have any trouble keeping up with it, but I can understand how it can get a little convoluted. So I think they had a little too many villains in this film, because the back end of the film, when they're kind of trying to succeed and take over this nuclear arms deal, gets a little weird and a little crazy as far as who's on whose side and who's whose friend. So that's the only thing I would maybe fix about the film, is that it had too many villains. Now, we will be doing a full review in a little more detail on our website at madmazreviews.com. I'll put the link in the description down below. But I would say personally, what I would rate this movie is probably a 4 out of 5 stars. To be perfectly honest with you, it was really funny. It was funnier than I had ever imagined it could be, especially with the cast that they had. I mean, Jason Statham, more of an action star. Melissa McCarthy, kind of been playing her same role a lot recently, so I didn't think it would be all that funny going in. It was hilarious, so it definitely deserves a really high score. The only downside, again, is going to be too many villains, and I don't think this film is going to get a lot of monetary kickback, because a lot of people, again, are tired of the Tammy 2 type role. So I think they're going to have a lot of people that aren't going to go out to see this film. So I'm really hoping word of mouth, maybe my video, will help getting some sales out there, at least one on the DVD release, because the movie's been out for a while now. We haven't done a review on it yet. It's quite simply because we were doing a lot of other reviews. It was kind of in the meat of summer movie time, so that got kind of put on the back burner. But we did just go see this movie recently at the budget again, and it was funny even the second time. Like, it didn't lose any of its appeal with the second viewing. So it was really funny. It warrants a second viewing as well, and I thought that it's a great film. So I rated a 4 out of 5 stars. Our actual rating on madmazreviews.com takes into account a few different things: plot, storytelling, characters, acting, and ad campaign. So it might be rated a little higher, a little lower, depending on how we, kind of rate some of those other brackets. But as just a film, in terms of just going out and enjoying it, I rated a 4 out of 5 stars, and I would definitely recommend going to see this film. Now, this is only our second video review at Mad Maz Reviews. We have a lot more on our website at madmazreviews.com. Again, I'll leave the link in the description below. But we want to know how to get better, how to grow our fan base. So if you have any pointers or comments or concerns, please leave it down in the comments below, and remember to like our video. But I honestly look forward to seeing you guys next time. Feel free to subscribe to the channel, or we're going to be posting a lot of content going forward, and we're going to hopefully have a lot more newer films coming up here. So stay tuned, and we'll be back.